Had you tried other things, or were you just sort of silently suffering?
More so silently suffering. I thought it was normal to feel inflamed and bloated all the time. I was 60 pounds overweight at 24. Just picturing who I was and how I was back then to where I am now, like I can't imagine not being able to run around with my toddler. I'm physically capable, and I don't think I would be physically capable had I not made that decision 10 years ago to say yes to this.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the awesome, the incredible BODi Experience. This is where we talk to guests who have found a way to get healthy and fit, to improve their energy. They've found a way to overcome obstacles and setbacks and keep going. And that can be so hard for all of us. I know that, I don't know about you, but as a person who doesn't love working out and eating healthy, I'm always looking for inspiration, and I'm motivated when I hear how people have managed to succeed and keep going, even though there's constant headwinds from life. It's so easy to quit, but so worth it to find a way to keep going. And that's what we're after. And today's guest is another great example of somebody who helps keep me going. I want you to meet Jessie. Jessie has been and I hope I can call you Jessie. Jessie has been a customer for 10 years. So let's get right to it, Jessie. I know, we've seen your success story appear in many different programs. I think we might have even seen it with 21 Day Fix. But if we could, I'd like to start at the beginning for people. Where were you when, 10 years ago that you decided to choose what was called Beachbody at the time, now BODi? And why was what we do appealing to you?
Yeah, so 10 years ago, I was a recent college graduate and I had gained a lot of weight in college. I struggled a lot with yo-yo dieting and falling for these fad gimmicks. And that's when, I found Beachbody, and 21 Day Fix was the program that caught my eye. I actually had tried Beachbody my first year in college with the DVDs, T25 and P90X, and that lasted for about a day because I just couldn't handle it. It was too hard for me to have consistency in college, and so I just said, oh, that's not going to work for me. So when I found 21 Day Fix, I saw the sustainability of the portion control. I saw it was only 30 minutes. It was only 21 days. And I told myself, like, Jessie, you can do anything for 21 days. It's literally 21 days. So I committed to it. And that first round, I think I lost like 5 pounds and fell in love and just saw that I could keep going with it. That was what set 21 Day Fix apart for me. It was the sustainability. It was that I could keep doing it. It wasn't too complicated. It wasn't too time consuming. It was simple. I didn't have to cut out carbs or give up all the foods I loved. I could still enjoy my life while getting results. And so I just kept going with it. And I'm still here 10 years later.
Now, you got some incredible results back then. And did you do other programs, or did you just do round after round of 21 Day Fix?
Yeah, in the beginning, I just did round after round of 21 Day Fix. But over the last 10 years, I think I've probably done every program that BODi has launched now. Everything from, I'm currently doing Dig Deeper. I've done Lift More, Lift 4, all of them basically. And 21 Day Fix is definitely like my go-to OG program that I go back to a lot because I just love that 30 minutes. I'm now a mom to a 2-year-old, so I still don't have a ton of time to work out because he keeps me on my toes and he keeps me busy. So that 30-minute marker is really what I love in terms of workouts, but I do a lot of the different programs.
And how about your nutrition? Because obviously we all know you can't out-train a bad diet, and particularly as a new mom, what do you do for the eating program?
Portion Fix. Portion Fix has always been my go-to since I joined 10 years ago. Like I said, it's sustainable. I came from a very diet restrictive background because I thought that's what I had to do in order to get results. And when I found Portion Fix and I realized like I could still eat carbs, I could still eat pizza, I could still enjoy the things that I loved without having to cut out those things and get results at the same time, like that was sold for me. So it's now become like my lifestyle. I don't look at it as a diet. I don't look at it as even like a meal plan. It's just part of my everyday life.
Now you said that you came from a background of restriction or thinking that you needed to do I don't know. I don't know what it was, but tell me about that. What did you try? You said you had yo-yo dieting issues. What was that experience? What did you try and why didn't those things work for you?
I feel like it should be like, what didn't I try? I
Right.
tried, the Special K diet was like big. I don't know if you ever heard of that. When I was in college, it was like the Special K diet, the cabbage soup diet, where you're like literally just eating barely anything, cutting out carbs, low carbs. I tried all of that and it just wasn't sustainable for me. I love bread, I love pizza, I love food, and me giving up those things long term, it would stick for a little bit, but me giving up like that long term just wasn't consistent. And that's what I fell in love with Portion Fix, because I saw I could still be consistent. I could still eat the foods I love, obviously in moderation, and get results at the same time.
Yeah, and you said you're a mom now,
I am.
so that'll put a little wrench in what you think is consistency because everything changes. What has that process been like?
Yeah, so my son is now 2. So he has seen me show up for myself in my own journey for the last 2 years. But it definitely in the beginning was a bit of a struggle, just kind of getting used to him being home with me. I was going from being able to work out whenever I wanted and however long I wanted to kind of working that around a baby schedule. So it's definitely put up some obstacles of just making sure that I'm continuously making myself a priority. But I love that he gets to see me show up for myself. He gets to see mom work out. He knows when he sees me pulling out my weights, he says, like, mommy's working out. And
Right.
sometimes he joins me and sometimes he just plays. But it's really cool to see him starting to notice the healthy habits that I have, and in hopes that one day he will continue these habits for himself.
Well, but you're leaving a big part of the story out. I see in my notes that you lost 60 pounds. You said that at the beginning of your journey with 21 Day Fix, you lost 5 pounds. But then you go through pregnancy and motherhood, and you had 60 pounds to lose.
Yeah, so I actually lost 60 pounds pre-baby with
Oh,
21 Day Fix, and all the other programs that I did in between then. And then during my pregnancy, I actually gained 60 pounds despite eating healthy, despite moving my body every day. I still did BODi throughout my entire pregnancy, drank Shakeology every day throughout my entire pregnancy, did the workouts every day, followed Portion Fix, and I still gained 60 pounds. And which was a little frustrating at first, but my doctor was like, you're just one of these women who you might gain some weight during pregnancy. It is what it is. But I honestly wasn't as frustrated because I knew that I had the tools once I was cleared to work out, like to be able to just jump back into these programs. And I knew I've done it before, so I could do it again. So I've actually lost 60 pounds twice with these programs.
wow. And you mentioned Shakeology. That I don't know if you talked to your doctor about it. We don't advocate it for during pregnancy or while breastfeeding without a doctor's permission. But you mentioned to me that you were using Shakeology maybe different than I use it for, which I use it sort of to make sure, because I don't like vegetables, to make sure that first thing in the morning I'm sort of getting that holistic, synergistic blend of superfoods, prebiotics, probiotics, fruits, vegetables, and fiber and protein. Why were you using Shakeology and why have you used it for 10 years?
Yeah, so when I started Shakeology in the beginning, it was for my digestion. I had some digestive issues, and Shakeology helped me with those. It helped curb my cravings, it helped with my gut health. And now that I'm a mom, it's just an easy, convenient grab and go breakfast or meal that I can just take with me. Because, like I said, I'm really busy. So, cooking and all of that, I don't have a ton of time for that, especially in the morning when I'm getting him ready for school. It's just really easy for me to throw the shake in and bring it with me. So that is why I started it, but why I've continued to use it, honestly, is really for convenience. I know I'm getting all my nutrients and veggies and all of that in one meal. And it's the convenience of it for me.
Now, you say digestion issues, and I don't want to get too personal with this, but um, what were you experiencing? Because there's nothing worse than that. Was this really an issue that you were struggling with, and had you tried other things, or were you just sort of silently suffering?
Yeah, more so silently suffering. I honestly had issues like with regularity in the bathroom. And that was something that like I honestly thought was normal. I thought it was normal to feel inflamed and bloated all the time. I thought it was normal to not just be regular. Like I thought that's just how my body was meant to be and meant to feel. So when I found Shakeology and I started drinking it and I noticed that being very different, I was like, okay, this actually feels good. This feels like I'm supposed to feel. And so that's why I've continued to drink it as well. Like it's easy, it's convenient, but it makes me feel good. And then also, like I said, helps my cravings as well, which is a perk.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, I think the most important question sometimes for somebody like you and for anybody who's watching is to hear you sort of compare what your life would be like if you hadn't found BODi, if you hadn't found 21 Day Fix, and if you hadn't found Shakeology. Where do you think you'd be? Where do you think you would have gone, or what do you think your life would be like?
Oh, that's a question it's a long question. I feel like I could answer. Um, Gosh, I don't even want to think about what my life would be like. When I started this, I was 24 years old and I would get winded walking up a flight of stairs. My doctor at 24 told me, like, Jessie, you're going down a path that isn't healthy. You need to make changes. I was 60 pounds overweight at 24. My body, I'm short. I'm only 5'1". So, like, extra weight on my body, it's a lot. It's demanding. It hurts. And so my doctor was like, you can barely walk up a flight of stairs without getting winded. Like, you got to take control of your health. And that's what I did. And so just picturing who I was and how I was back then to where I am now, like, I can't imagine not being able to run around with my toddler or get on the floor and play with him or get winded, chasing him. Like those things don't happen because I take care of myself and I'm able to pick him up and play with him and not have to tell him like, no, sorry, mommy, can't do that. Like I'm physically capable. And I don't think I would be physically capable had I not made that decision 10 years ago to say yes to this.
And how important was it, do you think, back then that you saw results in that first 21 days? Because, it's some people are just built different where they have the ability to trust the process and they can go for months and months and don't need to see the scale move or don't need to feel differently. But I'm not that same kind of person. I need some sort of instant gratification. I wonder if finding 21 Day Fix in particular unlocked something for you.
Yeah, so like I said, I only lost 5 pounds in my first round of 21 Day Fix. And to a lot of people, that's not a lot of weight. And to me, to be honest, it wasn't a lot of weight. I had 60 pounds to lose. That was my goal. But I knew that 60 pounds in 21 days is not healthy or not even really possible. So I told myself, like, I want you to think about how you feel. Like, it's not necessarily about the scale, it's about how you feel. And I felt like I had more energy and I felt like I was still enjoying food without that deprivation and still seeing results. So I just kept telling myself, like, okay, let's go another 21 days. If at the end of this next round, you don't still feel good, you don't still have more energy, you're not getting stronger, you're not seeing some progress, whether it be on the scale or, in pictures or in my clothes and the way my clothes were fitting and my confidence, then you can quit. And I just kept going. And like I took it 21 days at a time. And then by the end of, I don't even remember how many rounds it took to get to that big goal. I just remember thinking, like, what if you had quit because you only lost 25 pounds? I mean, you only lost 5 pounds in your first round. If you would have quit, you wouldn't have gotten to the end. So I know it can be discouraging if you're not seeing those results as fast as you want. But if you're doing it in those short increments, that bigger result will happen.
I think that's a great way to end because so many people don't give themselves the credit. And likewise, I think so many people don't start as soon as they should. So the problem just gets worse and worse and worse, thinking that, you know what, I'll fix this in a month. I'll fix this in 6 months. And the behaviors, the habits get harder to overcome and you dig yourself a deeper hole and it's just it's just more difficult. So I appreciate you encouraging people and demonstrating that early win, even if it's not exactly what you were looking for, was still meaningful enough. And I loved your approach, what I would call health esteem, that you were looking for not just results, but healthy results, and looking at how you feel while you're getting the results, so that your quality of life is not just dependent on losing the 60 pounds, but your quality of life is enhanced just by doing the workouts, drinking the shake, following Portion Fix. And I just think that's the kind of inspiration that we want to demonstrate and provide people on the BODi Experience. So I'm super grateful for you coming on today and telling us your story.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I am honored.
Look, you're inspiring all of us, and to anyone listening who's also ready to start, everything about your quality of life will be enhanced by being more active and improving the quality of your nutrition and improving the quality of your eating choices. You can get access to actually over 120 workouts from our BODi library of programs if you go to BODiPreviews.com. That's over $60 of content that you can get for free. And you can even do a 14 workout challenge and see if you can lose 3 to 5 pounds in just 14 workouts. We've seen people do that over and over again. And that's all available to you just in exchange for joining our email list at BODiPreviews.com. See which program speaks to you. Maybe it'll be 21-day fix like Jessie talked about, or maybe one of our other programs. And if you have a great BODi experience that you'd like to share, I'd love to hear it. You can submit your story to @BODi Stories on Instagram, where our team looks at all the success stories that range from people who've managed to improve their energy, managed to lose weight, get stronger. Some people who had relationship issues with food, they could overcome them once they provide some structure with a program like Portion Fix or 2B Mindset. We want to hear those stories. And as always, you deserve health esteem like Jessie. She just demonstrated that you can do that and you can maintain it over 10 years and overcome obstacles along the way. We want you to feel good about yourself just for showing up. And every day we want you to be excited and motivated to pursue real life-changing results. BODi is here to help you do exactly that, because everybody wins when you get healthy results. Thanks for joining us. I'll see you next time on the BODi Experience.